Hey everyone, welcome back to Chaitaku. I hope you guys are all well. Welcome back, first time listeners. If you're listening from a long time, welcome back. I'm really happy to have you here. And if you're following on from Music Fishbowl, really happy to have you here because we've got Dan from Music Fishbowl here.
Hello.
Good to
Hello.
have you.
I am back. A bit weird. We're doing this together in a room, which we haven't done for a while. So it's quite
a nice change, I think.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. It is good. I've noticed, as you were saying, that you've got some new pop culture style tattoos.
I've got the Lyric Kong one.
Yeah. I don't know.
Your prime is a bit scabby, but yeah, as soon as I saw that,
Is that like new?
Last week, I think.
Last week. Oh.
Yeah, so that's all good. But yeah, all good. Yeah, and perfect for this podcast anyway. So yeah, Dan, happy to have you here as always. Your podcast is going really well.
Yes.
Really popular. Every time I speak to you, you're fully booked. You got guests coming
I'm not
left, right, and
right,
centre.
I'm booking weekly now.
Okay.
I'm relieving pressure on myself, but the podcast is still running as weekly as possible.
Yeah,
there might be a couple of breaks where it's like 1 or 2 weeks no pod just because of me being busy in my personal life. I do it, as a hobby. I have a full-time job and everything. But
as you do.
Yeah, it's going well.
But it's good. Yeah, it's going really popular, and it's like a Music Fishbowl. If you don't follow it, please do. And this is vinyl.tap. Go follow Dan as well. Updates with music news and his vinyl collection, which he bought some new ones today to add to it. So I'm sure you'll be seeing those at some point. But no, thank you very much, Dan, for having us. And if you're listening from Dan's podcast, awesome to have you here. Right, we're doing this face to face. We just got back from Furiosa. Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga. We just got back from it. The brand new movie from George Miller, who's done the whole Mad Max Saga. Fifth Mad Max film?
Fifth Mad
Max film. Although Mad Max isn't in it, but it's a prequel to Fury Road.
Isn't in it.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
We'll go and listen to this once you've seen it, because I think we're going to be talking about everything that we saw.
This is going to be spoiler heavy.
Yeah.
Please do, heavy spoilers.
Yeah, so please always go and watch the things that we're talking about here so you can have an understanding of it. I don't want to ruin anything for you. But yeah, Furiosa, a Mad Max Saga, 2024, George Miller's newest offering. It's a prequel to Fury Road, which came out in 2015. It's just all about how Furiosa came to be, an origin story, how she got involved with the war that's going on between all these different towns in this wasteland, how she got involved with Immortan Joe and the War Boys and all that kind of stuff. And it literally, I was just talking to Dan straight after it, I think it's straight away back to back with Fury Road. It works really well because I think it directly links into it. Which is really, really cool if you watch them together. And I just watched Fury Road this morning, so it's fresh in my head, and I think it worked really, really well together. But as I was also speaking to Dan, you don't have to have any knowledge of Mad Max or anything like that. I think you can jump into these. They work by themselves. They work really well together. But
the only real benefit is you won't be sitting there thinking, what is that, at points in the film. You'll sit there going, what is that? I don't understand it, but you'll brush it off and just go, I'm just going to have to go with this. You don't have that if you already have the knowledge from Fury Road. So always worth watching first, but you can go into it. Or if you need to go with a friend, take a mate, because you don't want to go on your own to watch it, you can.
You can, definitely. And I think the beauty of these films is there's a lot of world building in there, and there's a lot of things that are not explained, which adds to the mystery and just adds to the whole weird world that George Miller's done. There's a lot of stuff in there, even with the other films.
It's just back to that. It just just exists.
It's just there, and you don't need to know
explanation.
They don't need to explain it to you. It's just pure visual storytelling, and it's just there, and it just works well with the whole aesthetic. And I think that way, you don't need to be an expert. It's not like Star Wars or anything like that. Even though there's a world there, you don't need to know too much about it. Like you don't need to read up on all the comics and all the backstory and Wikipedia and that kind of stuff.
The original trilogy was fleshed out in external media as well. So it's as you say, it's exactly the same as the classics. So you can't really complain if you don't understand anything.
Yeah, it's in the same universe, but again, I think you were saying that you can still watch these out of order because it's not technically like one after the other. It's kind of like you can see them as like
the first three would be harder to do so, I guess, because it's there's a cut-off point in the original Mel Gibson trilogy. Does have an order, and it is the order of release because the first film is straight after Apocalypse, pretty much.
Yeah.
Second film is full on Apocalypse, like it's all gone dead, it's all gone. And the third film is even more lawless. Yeah. But it's done in a more family orientated way, so families can watch it together.
Yeah. But Beyond Thunderdome, wasn't it? Yeah.
I was watching Caravan of Carnage has done a series.
Yeah.
The Weekly Planet is
yeah.
But they have a series called Caravan of Carnage, and they've over weeks leading up to this film, they've gone through all 4 of the Mad Max films so far. And the funniest thing, because they're Australian, in the first film they said this is meant to be a post-apocalyptic Australia. They said it's just Australia, like 70s. There's nothing different.
That's what I thought the first one. It's actually when I first watched it, because I know Mad Max 2, and it's like the whole post-apocalyptic aesthetic.
That's the stereotypical.
It's so famous,
and that's what the Fury Road and Furiosa build on that aesthetic mainly, and partially on Thunderdome as well. Yeah.
But when you watch the first one, you're like, well, this is just normal, like
it was
modern
testing
day.
the waters, and it was a budget film.
Yeah,
they were all budget films, so they couldn't afford much. Most of the money went on the stunts. Some people nearly died, I believe, and things like that.
It's very guerrilla filmmaking.
They had to do it like that,
100%. But yeah, you can watch these because essentially they're just stories in a world.
Especially the new ones.
Yeah, and Max is can be seen as like a mythological figure. You don't need to know his whole backstory. Just he exists in the world, but with this one it focuses on different characters like the other one did. Before we get into it, Dan, what are we having today? We're not having chai today. We're having a little bit of a naughty alcohol.
Because we're together, we are drinking beer.
We are having that. We're having some lagers. I've got Asahi, that's my favourite, and you got some.
I've got Budweiser simply just because the twist top's easy. It's not a good beer, but it's nice.
And it's a nice hot day anyway, and I've had my chai this morning. But don't tell anyone. But we're going to have a little bit of a. Well, I think it's
it's
nice.
Party atmosphere. This episode, isn't
exactly. It? Exactly. Just like the world of Mad Max. Exactly. Yeah. Awesome. So. With Mad Max, I'm not really too familiar with it. Like I've seen the first 3 once or twice, but I know the impact they've made, and I know they've been imitated a lot, and the whole aesthetic that Mad Max 2 especially brought in, like every post-apocalyptic thing ever made, kind of can trace it back to Mad Max 2. I think it's just so influential. But I haven't really watched them too much. What about you, Dan? Did you go out watching them or anything like that?
I found them post-university adulthood, so we're talking 21, 22 years old when I first started watching them. And I've watched the first 3. The thing is, the first, put it this way, during the first lockdown, in COVID, that's when I started watching 8 films a day or whatever. I was watching as many as I can. Before then, I was watching them sporadically, and these films as well, I watched even before that. So these ones have stuck in my mind a bit more. So I've only actually watched the first 3 once.
Yeah, I think same as well. And I only watched them right before Fury Road, just to find out what Fury Road is.
Fury Road I've watched a few times.
Yeah.
And I watched countless video essays on Fury Road as well, because it's a stunningly brilliant bit of filmmaking that can be studied like mad. But the first 3. The influence can be seen all over the place. I mean, obviously George Miller's pulling from things like A Boy and His Dog, The Last Man on Earth, all these kind of older classic films. But when it comes to things like the end of the first Mad Max film, when he is essentially just on a rampage and going in a straight line, killing anyone he needs to get to where he wants to be. It's imitated in Drive at the end of Drive.
It's everywhere.
And even at the end of Fury Road, so there's a bit of that. So it kind of does trickle in everywhere. Massively influential franchise and a massively influential filmmaker for world building.
Definitely. And I think that's one of the strongest aspects of it. He's done it so well. Like it just imitates everywhere. If you just think of post-apocalyptic, you just think Mad Max, right?
Yeah.
And every post-apocalyptic thing ever has got things that look like Mad Max, doesn't it? Yeah,
he's the poster boy.
Even to this day as well. Like with retro futuristic, everyone dressed in like punk and leather and just wacky outfits and these like souped up old vehicles. It's all Mad Max. So the world building there is exceptional. And I think with Fury Road, I think it was such a great comeback for not only George Miller, and it was like just on fire, but that whole world. I think I'd missed seeing that kind of world. And you've had all these superhero films and all these big blockbusters, and coming out with Fury Road back in 2015 was like, oh my god, you can have this amazing looking world that is hardcore, violence, 15 rated for adults, and it's just action packed and awesome. And so Yeah, love that. And Fury Road, I think, flawless.
Yeah,
definitely. And I've seen it a few times, and it's a masterpiece. Literally,
it's in my top 10 films of all time. It's that good.
It's just amazing. It's one long action sequence, but it's done so well, meticulously edited. Choreographed,
CGI
so slick.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And it's so practical. Like most of the stunts are practical. And but it's basically. It's the art of taking what you already have and just adding a bit to it when it comes to CGI, which is perfect. And
it came at the right time as well, because it's just like out of nowhere, come back for that. We were overloaded with all the Marvel stuff, and like they're coming out with that. That's an action-packed film.
Yeah, and that's what a summer blockbuster action film should be.
Yeah.
And it's done. It's arty as well. It's
arty. And you think it's not just like wham bam explosion. It's really well done. And it takes the beats to do character stuff and story, and the world building is incredible, and it shows you all these cool, outrageous things, and it doesn't dwell on it too much. They just exist. Amazing.
I would even argue his mistakes in the film.
Oh, of course.
They're plastered over.
Because
we were saying earlier, Max in the film, unlike the original trilogy, Max is an absolute wet flannel. He is boring.
He's a supporting character, isn't he?
Yeah, he's supporting as well, and he's more of a MacGuffin for things to move along. In fact, he is there and exists. He's our eyes for everything.
I think just coming back.
Furiosa's the character who is dynamic, different, and it's interesting, and you want to see more of her.
I imagine that's what they would have done before, but I think they just get the fans back, get Mad Max back, just to get everyone on board. But obviously Furiosa was one of the scene stealers from Fury Road. As well as other characters as well, but she was the one. Charlize Theron was amazing. I really liked Tom Hardy's performance, because he's just he's always cool.
He does what he needs to do.
Exactly, he's just always there. He's just confused, and he doesn't want to be there, pissed off, angry, and most of his characters that he does I love that thing he does. But Furiosa was like stuck out, and that's what they've done here. They focus on her character. So Charlize Theron was amazing, but now we've got Anya Taylor-Joy, who is playing a young Furiosa as a prequel. To it, set, I'd say, charting from her childhood all the way till literally moments before Fury Road starts. Let me just quickly read up on. So they wanted to make this straight after.
I was saying to this earlier. I was saying this to you earlier because I thought I heard this. Yeah. And they wanted to make it with Charlize Theron, the origin story, and I assume they'd have 2 or 3 people playing her throughout her life, and then Charlize would finish the film.
So they wanted to make this back to back when making Fury Road, but obviously they had lots of issues and problems. They had problems with Fury Road making that anyway, production and delays and stuff like that. So they wanted to make this straight away after Fury Road with Charlize Theron, but there were loads of problems going on with the studio and all that kind of stuff, and then we had COVID and everything else. So finally they got it. Couldn't get Charlize Theron back, but
age is a problem as well. Like I read somewhere that they were reconsidering de-age. They were considering de-aging her and things.
Yeah, and they just let's just start doing a really young.
It's been 10 years.
Well. Yeah,
it's been 10 years.
Yeah, but she gave her a blessing for Anya Taylor-Joy, which I think it works better because here we get to see. Well, actually, the first half of the film is literally her as a child. There's a really wicked actress, a little child actress that they get, and she's like for the first hour of the film.
Yeah,
isn't it?
Yeah.
And then we get Anya Taylor-Joy coming in, but yeah, this charts her rise. It really links in well to Fury Road because they drop a lot of stuff in Fury Road about her searching for home and her searching for where she came from and what her mission is. And I guess they were going to be making this back then. That's why they put all that stuff in there. But now we can actually see what's happening. Yeah. So I think you get to see a little bit more of the world. You get to see more characters in there. You get to see why they're fighting and how all these different, there's Gas Town and Bullet Town and the Citadel, how they all link in together, and they really, it's a really good, from a prequel sense where you get to find out everything.
I mean, saying about them wanting to make it straight away, it's very much wishful thinking because for the studio to take this film on board was a massive risk, and I think if I remember rightly, he had to fight for this film to be made, George Miller. Because let's be honest, Mad Max up until Fury Road was very much a cult classic franchise. It was a cult franchise. It's like films like A Boy and His Dog and things like that. It's still a cult set of films. It just happens to have Mel Gibson in it. This, it's Mel Gibson, early Mel Gibson. Like, there's a reason he's in it because he was an actor in Australia. It's like it was a big risk, and then it had development hell and things like that.
Yeah.
It's just not going to get made straight away. I seem to remember watching it and knowing that there was going to be a Furiosa film, but I think it's worth noting that this is a huge risk bringing the franchise back. Yeah. And again, another 10 years later, still quite a big risk to put the Furiosa film out there, because people will start forgetting Fury Road.
Yeah. And they wanted to test that Fury as well, but thankfully it's such an iconic film now.
Yeah, it's kind of cemented for film.
Yeah,
there's enough film fans to make it work. That you can make. Yeah, people will just go casually.
Yeah, and I think it's coming at the right time as well, considering superhero and comic book and all these big blockbusters are hit and miss. Marvel isn't doing as big as they were. People are getting a bit bored of it. In fact, the biggest movies this year have not even been superhero films. It's been Dune. It's been Godzilla vs Kong. Challenges, which is amazing, by the way. Have you seen that as well? I loved it. Absolutely loved it. We'll have to chat about that one. I loved that. And a big summer action. And the Fall Guy came out the other day, which is not a big superhero film, but that didn't do really well either. But I think this one's got
critically doing well.
But financially, But this has got the clout because it's George Miller, it's Mad Max, it's big. It's
Anna Taylor-Joy as well, who's right up there in people will go to films just because of her, in the same way they'll go to see Challenges. Without Zendaya, Challenges doesn't get seen. It's kind of like you have to have that big name to draw
and I think she's really good. And you also got Chris Hemsworth in this as well, who is playing a villain, and Lord Dementus, who I think he did really amazingly well. It's such a
Mad Max so camp and funny because 100%. It's such a 100%
of Mad Max.
So good. Yeah,
I love the humour and the dark humour they're having, because like Lord Humongous and all these other really weird characters that they have in Mad Max. Yeah, he was awesome, and it's cool to see him doing something different as well. Yeah. When I first saw the trailer, it doesn't really tell you if he's going to be a villain or a hero. He's just kind of there. I'm glad he's the villain in this, because he's awesome. Yeah, play more villains and flip it up a bit. But yeah, this is a prequel then, and whereas Fury Road was like a straight up action sequence straight through, which is awesome. It takes a little breaks here and there just to take a breather. This one has got amazing action scenes, but I think it's a little bit slower paced, right?
Yeah.
Just so they can tell the story. A bit longer as well, I think. I found it a little bit longer than Fury Road as well. Yeah. It's still got the stunning action scenes, which are awesome. Yeah. And you can't fault them, but they are really broken up with.
I think they're a bit more CGI this time. It's a lot more. I think I can imagine the budget for this film is probably a bit lower, because they're thinking people are going to see the spin-off film. Will it work the same as Fury Road? So I think they probably got a smaller budget.
Let me just have a look. But it is well, it depends. Either slightly bigger or slightly smaller, depending. Budget was 154 to 185 million for Fury Road, and this is 168. So I don't know, but it's similar. It's similar, but there were a lot more shots that were more obvious when they did CGI stuff. CGI. They didn't detract, obviously, but it's still a lot of practical stuff in there as well.
There's still loads of practical as well.
But yeah, it does take a little bit more time. It takes some longer, slower pauses, which I didn't mind at all.
It works because you're doing a story that spans over. I assume she's probably early 20s by the end of it. So you're doing a story spanning about 10, 15 years of her life. So it
does take the necessary things. Now, at the beginning, I was like, do I really want to know more about Furiosa, because she was awesome in Fury Road? Do I want to know more? Do I need to know more? Why don't you just do another Mad Max, or have Max in there? But I think it works as a prequel. I think she's it reminded me a lot of like Gladiator and Conan the Barbarian. She's like a warrior. She's like orphaned. Parents taken away from her. She's brought up in like a slavery and this kind of stuff, and then it's a revenge story as well. So there's a lot of familiar stuff in there, but it works because she's a cool character, and there is it's just really well done. And at its core, it is tropey. We've seen like this story done loads of times before, but I think it's done really, really well. It's really entertaining, and plus it's in the world that George Miller's done. It's really cool to see this like shooting and action and car chases and mutilations and all these weird wacky characters. I was really entertained throughout. I wasn't bored at all. It does take some long breaks, but I think I was really entertained. I as the film ended, I think it works better as a back-to-back with Fury Road.
It does, and it deals with time really well, and the way, I mean, we'll get onto this probably later, but the way it does get into Fury Road is pretty much a 10-second clip is how it does it, but it fits, it puts it in the right time, it fits in, you're literally seeing what would be probably hours before Fury Road starts, but there's a time jump that's there for that 10-second clip to what was there before, a very small time jump, but it's enough, but it's just put in the right time to make it work, and it's, I would love to watch both of them back to back.
I think it just links in really, really well, and you don't have to watch the other ones, actually. You can do Fury Road and Furiosa back to back is a wicked little story for that. I don't know if they're going to make it more, but I think it really works really well, actually, from here. And, but yeah, I thought it was really, really, really done well. Miller's still got it. He's like kicking on 70 or 78, something. Let me have a look. He is 79. Still got it. Yeah. Still got it. Like he is kicking it, and some of the best action scenes I've seen,
in an action film for a while. Yeah.
And this year's been full of action film. Like Dune 2 is like stunning still. Like it's top tier.
Oh yeah.
But this is like matched it in a lot of ways.
Yeah. For actions, I mean the action sequences are very different. These are much bigger, much more bombastic. Let's say is a word. But Dune is much more subtle. I think Dune's the prettier film of the two. But this is obviously within a world that it has to meet certain criteria to look like it. I mean, I was saying to you after the film as well, I think Fury Road is a prettier film, but it's more practical and things like that. And I think that's why. And I prefer. There's more going on the screen in Fury Road in terms of just the backdrops. This was more desert dune style. Whilst in Fury Road, we're actually seeing a more realistic outback sort of desert type style. The dry desert that Australia has. We're seeing that more.
Storms. I think way more. The gang's like thousands of gang members with all like local CGI stuff. Which
in Fury Road was mostly real, but they also CGI.
And I think it was just crowd scenes. But there's loads of gang members. There's way more gang members in this one actually. But at the same time, I kind of like the like the groundhousey, some of the cheapy looking effects. It kind of works for Mad Max in a way,
does,
right?
Yeah, because again, it is still a cult franchise. Even now, even after Fury Road doing so well, it's still a cult franchise. Actually, did Fury Road do that well?
Fury Road,
in terms of because obviously it did double its
so we had
so it was 100. Let's say it was 150.
154, 380 million it weighed, which is decent.
It's probably made about 30 million when you take into account marketing and everything, paying actors to go to promote it and things like that. It's probably made about 30 million. So it's not the biggest success.
It's not the biggest. I think
it's still a success.
Yeah, critically and became such a they made such a big impact.
It gave the studio some clout that they probably very much needed at the time.
This one will probably do big as well. Although there was hardly anyone in the cinema. It was really nice.
We went during the day though, during a nice hot sunny Saturday on a bank holiday weekend. So everyone's gone on holiday away from home and things like that.
But I hope this one does well.
I'm sure it'll be fine. It's unfortunate they brought it out just before the bank holiday, but I think their reasoning behind it is that they probably felt they needed to rival the Planet of the Apes film that's just come out. They probably felt that they wanted to get it out so that people could watch it during the day on the bank holiday if needed. I think it's global release, isn't it? I guess.
Planet of the Apes came out 2 weeks ago. It was on 1 week ago, something like that. But it's like a big movie every other week. But I think it'll do well. It'll do well.
It's going to be a big summer blockbuster, basically.
And even if it doesn't do huge numbers, I think it's critically really well received, and people are loving it. And I had a really good time with this one. It makes my top 10 2024 list.
Oh, easily.
I'd watch it again.
This is going to be, at the moment it's 2nd of June, so June 2, so it's, for me it's going to stay there. There's not going to be many things that get that far.
And there's like, I've been going to cinema like quite a bit actually, every other week, to be honest.
More than me.
It's every single time I look at there's something I want to see, so it's, so loads every single week really. But this one is one of my favourites. So Planet of the Apes, I enjoyed it. We'll probably chat about that when you've seen it.
I've seen it.
It was fine. It just I didn't make my top 10 list, but it's fine. It's fine.
I'll see it next week.
Fine.
So.
We'll chat about that. But this one definitely, I really enjoyed it. I really need to go and see the other Mad Max movies again actually, because yeah, I think there'll be lots of. There are little tiny Easter eggs in this one, isn't there? From especially Fury Road.
Yeah, I would draw a comparison with this to the Han Solo movie in Star Wars, because there is a way to build up everything you know about the character and have it in an origin story in a prequel and get it right, and that's Furiosa. There's a way to, and I will say the Solo film is a misunderstood film. It's only the fan service they really get wrong. The rest of the film is perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it other than the fan service being a bit in your face. And there's a way to not make it in your face.
Yeah, I like
that's what Furiosa does.
Yeah, because it's not in your face.
Contrasting them, you got a way to do it and a way not. Yeah, and there you go.
This is it. Just a little subtle. It's not like wink, wink, nudge, nudge to the camera. I hate that kind of stuff. Yeah, and I hate this really obvious. I was like, there's a couple of things that happened in the film, and I was like, I bet you any money they're gonna drop this thing in there to link it, and they did it. And the little Easter eggs that they do are just so subtle, and they're just like, and even with Furiosa losing her arm. Right, I mean, you know she loses her arm.
They don't make any big deal about it.
It's not
a big deal.
It just happens. Like, yes, that's it. They could have had this big long sequence of slow motion, like choir.
Up until that point, I forgot she lost her arm.
I was just thinking in my head, like, if she just lost lose her arm, are they going to show it? They have to. Because I know in the trailer she's got a rubber arm, so how are they going to do it? But yeah, this has done such a. Subtle.
I forgot it even happened until it actually happened. I forgot it was a thing.
Now, let's say Marvel or let's say Star Wars, they could have had this massive long sequence about losing the arm and all that. I'm glad they didn't go that way.
I think the best comparison is Han Solo being given his gun.
Oh,
in the Solo when it's really obvious. Camera focus on gun for 5 seconds. Camera look at Han Solo going, wow, gun. Yeah. Instead of doing that,
this is a fan service that I absolutely. It's like Ghostbusters did that a lot.
But the comparisons with the it's with the tanker that she drives around in Fury Road, because that tanker is built right from the beginning. Yeah. And that is the biggest part of the story. The biggest prop in the film is this tanker. Yeah. This massive truck, and it's built for a completely different purpose. Yeah. And you kind of don't make most people will not have watched Fury Road straight before like yourself, and I don't even know, even watching it before you might not spot the link, but people who have just gone to see it because they like the Fury Road film, they'll go to see Furiosa, and then they'll make the link at the end when it tells you that that's the thing. It's like, but it's not just like, I've got a random gun to give you, here it is. Yeah. It's not that. There's a reason for it being there. There's a reason for her to take it and steal it at the end, etc. And they only spend 10 seconds on her doing the stealing. Yeah, 100%. Running away with the women. They only spend 10 seconds on it, and there's no dialogue, and it's actually done to a narration voiceover right before credits. Yeah,
even just her with the black wall paint on. You find out, and it's not like a big, massive sequence.
It's not a big deal.
It just shows, it just shows you, that's why she wears that. That's it, done. And I think this is the right way to do fan service, right? Rather than just in your face, here you go. Like, this is what Ghostbusters and another one. They just big sequences of, look, do you remember this? This is how they got. You don't need to
like it.
Yeah, exactly. This is it. This George was like, I think somewhere down the line you can tell he wrote this next to Fury Road, because it just really that's why it links in straight away. You must have penned it straight back to back. But I like this kind of fan service. This is how you should do it. It's not a big celebration, not a big remember this, here we go. Just show, subtly, you don't have to mention it, quick second frame, done, alright? But things like that already work, apart from spoiler alert, there is a little cameo. But it's 1 second.
It's the only bit of fan service that isn't.
1 second, and they don't dwell on it too much. It's just like,
here's Mad Max looking. Here he is looking over at something that happens, not realising he's watching Furiosa. It's where he was at the start of Fury Road. Okay, fine. But because it's so well done for the rest of the film, you kind of just gloss over it and don't care. And that's what makes it work. I'm happy with it.
I'd rate this. For me, I'd rate it right next to Fury Road. Fury Road, 4.5 stars. I gave it 4.5 chais, but I'd say the same, because I think for me they just work together. If I watch Fury Road from now on, I'll be watching Furiosa first, straight away, back to back. That's how I'm gonna do it.
I mean, for me, it's a 5-star Fury Road, 4.5 for Furiosa. But you know the way I rate films, I'm not a harsh critic, but a realistic critic. I don't go, I really like that, so I'm just going to give it 5 stars. Anyway, I do rate based on enjoyment, but also quality, and as much as I can. I think, So that's really high acclaim for me. There's not many films of that level for me. So,
I enjoy this one. I think, I think it does a really good job, and I hope it does really well. I enjoyed it, and I see more. I don't know what's actually with this franchise. Is anything else going on with it? I hope so.
I mean, there will be a lot of extended media. It's one of those franchises that has that. As the originals was all expanded in extended media. There's loads of extended media from Fury Road as well. So there will be extended media. I can guarantee it's going to come. Or I suppose it will anyway.
I hope so. Yeah, they could easily done. Well, the music as well was. Really
soundtrack's good.
It's always good. Junkie XL is with the banging drums and the guitar and everything. Does always does a great job. And
he's done the Fury Road?
He did Fury Road as well. He's done quite a lot of action movies. He did Godzilla Con as well this year as well, which I really enjoyed as well. But I hope they do more. There's a lot more they can have, but something when George Miller doesn't do anymore. I hope someone can stay up there with this series, because it's stellar and it's definitely one of the best ones, best franchises out there.
It's one of the most consistent, because the drop-in form is Thunderdome, and it's
which isn't even that bad.
It's not that bad a film. It's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's one of those.
It's one that's been revered later on down the line.
Yeah,
it's taken time for people.
It's
but the thing is, it already started off with a level of quality. It's not like Rocky 5 where people are starting to appreciate it more, but we all know it's still not. It's still a great.
No, film. It's 100%. I literally saw a tweet about this yesterday. It's one of those franchises where there's not bad film in it.
No, but there's not many of them either.
No,
which helps.
Yeah.
Which really helps, and there's loads of great inclusions across all of them, which are brilliant. Obviously, the third one is, put it this way, as far as I can tell, it seems to me that the first two are the Australian ones. It goes to Hollywood for Thunderdome. I think that's what happens.
That's when they started to make more mainstream, more dumbing down a little bit.
In it, and there's a soundtrack tune.
It was definitely more.
And so
it was ridiculed. I remember everyone on that Mad Max, talks about it was always Thunderdome, Beyond Thunderdome. Even they still use the word Thunderdome as a ridicule word, isn't it? It's like, we're going beyond Thunderdome here. But I thought it was fine. I watched it many years later.
There's no problem with Beyond Thunderdome. It is basically, isn't it a story like the Pied Piper basically, or is it like it's a bit like the Lost, but it's Peter Pan-esque as well at times. It's like, there's all these kind of like references to children's sort of stories and things. But it is made more for children to watch, because it's not very violent. It's it's the only one that kids can watch, isn't it? Because it's a 12 age.
It's the one that mainstream Hollywood dumb it down for the big audiences. I think lots of franchises do that somewhere down the line. But I'm glad this one is more adult oriented.
This one was darker than Fury Road.
Far darker. There was some very brutal scenes.
And it actually brightened up towards the end, which is a nice. If you did watch them back to back, it would feel like by the end of it, would feel like you're nicely going into you'd be at the same tone as Fury Road going into it. Whilst the start you wouldn't be. The start was very dark. Very dark.
It kind of works like as two sides of the coin. This was like a long dark story. It takes a longer time, some breaks, really brutal scenes, and then Fury Road is just like the big action set piece finale, middle part finale together. If this is like the long slog through her journey, and it's really, really sad and emotional and all that, Fury Road is just a boom straight away, non-stop. And I think that's why it works really well as well, because this is like part 1 and part 2, and Fury Road is like the finale. It's because it's literally is the one whole final chase scene, isn't it? All the way across. So I think that works really well actually. But I really enjoyed it.
Anna Taylor-Joy nails the voice of Charlize Theron.
And I really like she's one of my favourite actresses now officially, because not only has she done so many cool like indie horror films and things like that, she's now done action. She's a wicked actress.
I only know her mainstream films because I know, obviously I've not seen The Queen's Gambit. I know she was in that
that's
kind of
really
broke
good.
Her. That's really good. But then the Last Night Soho she's in, which is brilliant. I've seen The Menu as well. I've seen a couple other things. I can't think what else I've seen with her.
She's really good. Yeah, she's in The Witch. Have you seen The Witch?
No, I don't know.
That's fantastic, a horror film. She's done. You've seen Split, right? I think she was in Split. You know, the M Night Shyamalan one.
I might have seen that.
You know, with what's his face? Gosh, I can't remember him. He's got split personality basically. What is his name?
That's the no, I haven't seen in the sequels to
James McAvoy.
I've not seen the sequels to and prequels to Unbreakable or whatever it's called. What's it called? The one when it's a comic book character.
Yes, she's good in that. She's good in The Northman. Mm-hmm. She's great as Princess Peach.
Oh yes.
I thought she went really well there.
Yeah. She's in that.
She's
It's not. I keep calling it Anastasia. It's Anya, isn't it?
Anya, yeah.
Yeah. I've seen her in what else have I seen?
Oh, she's in Playmobil.
June. She's in June. I've seen her in June.
Oh yes, of course she is. She's in
June Part 2.
Two desert-based films.
Yeah. Who was she in June Part 2?
She is the unborn daughter of, or sister of Paul Atreides. You only see her as like really quick scenes. She'll be in the next one, obviously, the bigger part.
What else have I seen her in?
She's in.
Actually, that's actually it. I haven't seen her in anything else.
Check her out. She's awesome. And,
weirdly. I mean, she's in the Amsterdam film, but I kind of don't want to watch that because I don't want to watch that just because of my own political reasons, because I don't agree with certain things to do with that director. Let's put it that way.
What's that?
He's a bit of a dodgy man, I believe. Or I believe him to be.
Oh yeah, I don't know too much about it, but I have heard that
it's about that. It's about that director, isn't it?
Right. Okay.
No one likes it because of the director. And,
I see.
And he's a I won't go into why.
Yeah. But
I'm not going to go into it. Don't like the man.
But no, she's been in a lot of horror films that I've seen. That's how I got to know her. So yeah, I really think she's awesome. She's one of my top favorites. But yeah, recommend Furiosa 100%. Go and see it. You can see it back to back with. Once you see Furiosa, go and see Mad Max Fury Road straight away after that. Yeah. And I think it works really well. Yeah. So yeah, I'd give it a 4.5 stars, just like I gave Fury Road.
4.5 stars.
I probably go higher as I go, I watch them more and more and more. Nice one. Thank you so much, then. Dad, anything else to say that we need to cover for this one?
Not really. We've actually not given any of the plot away.
I think this is
we actually haven't given any of the plot away.
I don't think you need to know too much about it.
Once we've not talked about the plot at all.
Yeah. I think we're just purely based on just how much we felt just by after seeing the film.
It's a bit different because usually we discuss things either week by week or we're discussing a whole series of things, and there's a lot.
I think you covered it. She's from a child. She's taken from her home. Gets to see her family, where she comes from. She's taken into captivity by Lord Dementus, played by Chris Helmsworth. Then she escapes and finds her way to Morton Joe's in the Citadel, and then she's just basically on a revenge mission. I think that's all you need to know about this one.
Yeah.
Other things happen. She meets some I can't remember what that guy's name is, but she meets someone who's like a mentor to her.
Kind of a Mad Max.
I thought originally
he's a bit of a Mad Max.
He looked a little bit like that. He could have been Max at some point, and maybe before everything changed.
He's basically a wet flannel Mad Max in the same way that Tom Hardy's Mad Max is a wet flannel Mad Max.
Yeah.
He's basically but it's not Mad Max.
Yeah, a hero type person who doesn't. He's quite a generic hero. Can't even remember his name. But
very generic man.
He's just a hero mentor character who trains her up and shows her what she needs to do to survive, and then she goes on a revenge mission. I think that's all you need to know really. But it's just all well done, slick choreography, music is banging, editing, visuals, highly entertaining all the way through. Go and recommend it especially if you liked Fury Road. Go and see it.
I'm just looking up. Because a lot of people seem to think that Charlize Theron is in some way Australian, and I think this is a Mandela effect.
Oh, I thought she was
because I know her as South African, and she is South African.
Oh, she's South African. That's right.
But
Australian.
But I think a lot of people the Mandela effect because she was in Fury Road that she's Australian.
Has she done something with an Australian accent before?
It doesn't look like she ever lived in Australia from the Wikipedia page. It looks like she was born in South Africa and eventually probably moved to the US, I'd imagine, to Hollywood.
Yes.
But I mean,
what has she done
also, weird enough, I mean, I can't remember what accent she uses in Fury Road. And I'll tell you the truth, I think she uses a British accent.
So with Anya, it's really...
Anya,
it's really weird because she's British, Brazilian, But so when she's in England, she switches.
I see
but when
that.
she's in America, she switches to the American accent sometimes, and it's like a bit of a mix. So
I mean, she just imitated Charlize Theron's voice in Fury Road, I think.
Yeah.
From what because it didn't sound like any Anya Taylor-Joy I know.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming it was. And that's
they
why I
might have
said
done a
that
little bit
earlier.
of editing in there as well. Just
Well, I imagine she spoke to studied Charlize Theron's performance to get the voice right and accent right. And everything,
no, she's not Brazilian. Sorry. So she was born in Florida. She's of Argentinian, English, and Scottish descent. British
She
father.
grew up in England, I'd imagine. 'Cause she's got an
Argentinian
English accent.
mother. Yeah, she lived in Buenos Aires till 6. Then she came to London.
London, yeah.
So
I would have thought based on her accent, I would have thought she is brought up in England or in the UK.
she's spent a lot of time here. Yeah, citizenship UK, US. So that's why the accent keeps changing. But yeah, if you watch interviews with her, if it's in America, it's American accent. It's like Christian Bale. But
his voice is messed up. I can imagine when he was a kid, he probably had a really strong Welsh accent. And then as soon as he started acting, which was from childhood, and he did have to play
American.
He had to play was he playing a British boy in Empire of the Sun? Was he British?
I think so, but you can tell it's really.
So he used a British accent in that, and then from then on, his voice was just a mess.
Yeah.
But he was so young then, he might have just adopted the voice because it would have been at the time when, for a boy, it would be the early starts, like 10, 11, of the voice breaking.
Yeah.
You would get those early points. And if you start changing your voice at that time, it can have really big effects, I think. That's just my guess.
Yeah,
anyway, but I would feel like that would be the case.
I can't even recognize.
But his voice is messed up. His accent is messed up beyond belief.
Yeah.
He hasn't got one anymore. I mean, his voice does not come from anywhere. I don't know where.
It's,
and occasionally a bit of Welsh does come through.
Yeah, that's why. It's when he's in England, in the US, I can hear a little bit of it, but it's still a big mix of stuff. Who's the other? Gillian Anderson. That's someone who's in England. It's a straight English accent. In America, it's an American accent. It's crazy how quickly she can switch it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I need to tell you, Joy, watching out for her because she's the stuff she does is really interesting. Her roles that she plays, she's like one of those wild cards. She takes something different and weird and all the time, which I really like. So yeah, she was awesome in this as well, and Chris Hemsworth is really cool as well, and it's good to see that he's with his Australian accent in this one as well.
Yes, gets to use his actual accent. Yeah. I mean, it's Mad Max. It's in Australia.
Yeah, that has to be.
I mean, the start of the film literally has a globe shot and it zooms in on Australia.
Yeah. Even though they've got loads
because
of
they know, like, some people are going to end up going to this film because it's like. People will go to this film not seeing any Mad Max.
I know.
Want to go to not miss out.
Yeah. So they
all those casual watchers will do that.
They explain it to you.
They will literally explain. It's in Australia.
Yeah, but it's like Australia's like really diverse and global now because they've got Americans in there, British people in there now, and it's all wacky. But yeah, it is Australia still, isn't it? And it's the desert. But yeah, no, totally recommend Furiosa. Furiosa. Oh yeah, that's it. Because the young actress in there who plays Furiosa did remind me a bit of Hermione Granger, the actress.
That is a young
Emma Watson. That's it. She did remind me. I was like, who is that? This is weird. Yeah, it was quite weird that. Furiosa, and then Charlize Theron reminded me of Ellen Ripley, Alien 3, Alien 3 Ripley. So we saw a couple of trailers, didn't we? So the Alien Rumble.
I didn't even know that was coming. I was so happy when I saw it.
I was wondering, like, is he gonna get it because they had the iconic alarm sound from Alien.
I saw the creatures and I thought that looks like Alien, and then I saw the W. When I saw the W, I was like, that's Alien. I know it's Alien now.
So that's good. That's directed by the guy who did the Evil Dead, first Evil Dead remake.
Yeah.
Evil Dead is another franchise, by the way, with no bad film in there.
No.
They're all bangers, every single. Even the TV show was amazing as well, if you saw that. But yeah, Furiosa, amazing, loved it. I'll probably go and watch it again. What about you, Dan?
Brilliant film. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was fantastic, and I'm glad we went to see it.
So awesome film.
Potential film of the year, but not quite. But
it's
it was potential.
It's in my top 5, I'd say right now.
It's my top 2 with June.
Amazing.
We'll see what happens with the rest of them. I mean,
there's still an
alien film and a Planet of the Apes could also make a big difference.
There's still we're still halfway through the year nearly.
And there'll be some weird Netflix original that does something to me as well that makes me go like, oh, that's really good. It's gonna happen. There's gonna be some original that comes out.
Totally.
Totally.
But no, thank you very much then for listening, and hope you go and check it out and let us know what you think. Dan, it's been a pleasure as always. Go check out Dan Music Fishbowl. This is Vinyl.tap. Yeah. He'll be putting up what he bought, I'm sure, today.
Yeah, I bought a couple of singles today. Yeah, I did.
And he'll post that up. And his your upcoming podcast, I think you got one coming out next week, right?
I got one coming out on Tuesday, but obviously by the time this goes out, it might be after Tuesday. Yeah. I don't know. But the good thing about the podcast now is that every single episode from now on will be available on not all podcast services, because quite frankly I don't know all of them. Yeah. But it's going to be on, it's going to be on Spotify, Amazon Music podcast. It'll be on Google Podcasts. It'll be on Apple Podcasts. Where else? Just trying to think of all the.
Nice.
Tune in. It's going to be on. I think it's on. Oh God, I'm trying to think. I think Podchaser's one of them.
On everywhere where you listen to podcasts.
There's many I don't know, so it won't be on them. But the major ones, And to be honest, I think you can listen to some of them on my website, but I think the link is broken on that, so I've got to try and fix it if I can. If not, there's links on the podcast website. Just type in Music Fishbowl Podcast. First thing that'll come up on the Lyric site. It's got all the links there. Or at thisisvinyl.tap has every link in the bio. It'll have links to the Spotify one at least, but it has a link to the website anyway.
I'll put a description
I need to change my link tree, so it's got all of the other places in as well.
I'll post a link to Dan's under the description here, so please do check it out.
Thank you, man.
And it's been amazing. Thank you very much for checking it out. Yeah, we might do some more of these straight away after the film. I think it's fresh in our heads, and it's all good. Thank you for joining us, Dan. Thank you very much for joining us as well. Listeners, it's been awesome. Thank you. Let me know what you think of Furiosa, the Mad Max Saga. We'll see you guys next time. Dan, I'll check you out maybe for Acolyte. I
can imagine I will be doing my token Star Wars after Acolyte.
First 2 episodes next week, I believe.
Is it?
June the 2nd. 2 episodes.
So excited.
And I'm hoping they do one weekly episode, because that's the best way.
It will be, They always put 2 out for the first one because it feels like a bigger event. That's why. And they started doing that literally from the Obi-Wan series when it. Obviously, there was a delay, so they said they put 2 of them.
And Obi-Wan and Andor started doing that.
And then Andor did it after. Andor was after, wasn't it?
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, we'll check that out, and we'll give you our thoughts on that. Thank you very much, everyone. We'll see you next time on Chaitaku. Take care of yourselves. See you later.
See ya.